Tonight, I'm going to share an intergenerational conversation between two black men living in Central Oregon. Let's get it popping.
It's just us against the world. I ain't perfect, but I know it. Can get caught up in my feelings, so sometimes it's hard to show it. Every day I'm chasing money. First I save it, then I blow it. I done came so damn far, still don't know where I be going. Let the truth ride. Got a lot of fam that hold it down. I'm talking both sides. So anytime a nigga wanna joke, the dark night rise. I'm tired of walking around. It's time to see a dark guy fly. So catch me when I land, cause I be high. Ayy. Let the truth ride, ayy. Let the truth ride, yeah. Let the truth ride, ayy. Let the truth ride, yeah. Let the truth ride, ayy. Let the truth ride, yeah. Let the truth ride, ayy. Let the truth ride, yeah.
Welcome to The Truth Ride, a community talk show that talks about things in Central Oregon, community, and beyond, and then brings it right back to you, our people, so you can be informed. Today is a special day. For us, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We have moved from our very small station headquarters to one of our supporters' conference rooms that can easily accommodate us all. So I want to give a quick shout out to the Ben Redmond Habitats for Humanity for always supporting our station and allowing us to use this lovely space. If you haven't checked out Habitat before, or you're thinking that they may not have any programs that can assist you, I encourage you to please visit their website or come on down and talk to Scott, Dee Dee, or Carly, and I'm sure you'll be amazed at all the great stuff they have going on. This is not your mama's Habitat, okay? It's different. It's different. So today we have some very special guests, right? And I'm just going to let them introduce themselves. And we'll start off with you, sir.
Hi, this is Dalton Miller-Jones, retired Central Oregonian, part of Father's Group, and delighted to be here and have a conversation.
And I'm Ray Randall. I'm a student currently at Central Oregon Community College, and I'm just happy to be here as well.
Cool. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have like an intergenerational conversation, you guys. He was being nice about it. Dalton has so many titles, and he's done so much in the community that I've noticed in the last 5 years, especially when I decided to join the fight. So Dalton's everywhere, but his big job in the community, a job he doesn't even know he does, is he inspires many black folks in the community, white folks as well, but you know how we are on this show. So he inspires a lot of black people and brown people to join the fight, do something, volunteer. And then we have the young upstart, the young up and comer, right? And I don't know Ray too well, right? I have seen him speak in public. We attended a couple of events at the same time where I got a chance to hear him speak and was inspired and very impressed with the young man who is heading to a HBCU. And that's a big accomplishment for us here in Central Oregon, where we're less than 1% of the population, you guys. I always like to remind you that here we are in this tiny space. Don't forget about us, because we still here, even though there's only like 487 of us. All right, so we're just going to get started. I want to also give a little bit of appreciation to Kathy Bargill.
Yeah.
Who had the idea to bring us all together and get this thing started. All right. So I have some questions here that Dr. Dalton Miller-Jones came in with. And so I'm going to start it off with him. Dalton, can you share with Ray here and the audience what is important or was important growing up African-American over the ages of, say, 12 and 18?
Yeah, thank you, Ricardo. Thank you for doing this work to help bring us together in conversation and in celebration of our Blackness. So, in thinking about having a conversation with a young brother, who I've been so impressed with his spontaneous commentaries at events like Farming While Black and Black Joy and a few other events. And so it was a delight for me to think about having a conversation across the generation with an activist. So I thought one of the things is I think has changed dramatically between your generation, Ray, and my growing up in that time frame, like ages 12 to 17, 18. Which I thought were critical. That's a critical juncture in your growing up, where you have been predominantly in a household of some kind, with a parent-like adult hovering and directing. About 12, you start to be more. My time, and let's just locate it. When I was 12, it was 1952. And so I'm talking about the 50s, basically, maybe a couple of years into the 60s. And my predominant preoccupation, starting around the age of 12, was not with my parents. It was with the street, the neighborhood, the other brothers and sisters who were my age mate, playmates, and so on. And I have to say, my time was, 80% of my brain was focused around what was going on with us at that age. And basically, what was going on with us was being socialized into Black culture, and Black culture largely organized around survival. And by survival, I don't mean food and water and shelter. I'm talking about cultural survival. And so I'll just turn it back to you and ask what's important for you as you reflect on that age range. And I'll say for me, it was my standing among other Black boys or young men. And there were cliques of subgroups who hung out. The brothers who were really outstanding athletes across all the sport agendas or arenas. Football, basketball, track were the three predominant ones when I was growing up. So I was partially able, and so I could hang with those guys quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then there was the whole social. What mattered? You better not show up at a party with white socks on because you will be laughed at forever. You will never ever overcome that. So dressing and how you dressed was really important. How you wear your hair, and back in those days we could wear it short. This is pre afros.
Did you conk it?
No. If you processed your hair, which is what we called it at the day, and you had a do-rag, right? You were doing that in order to get over. If you think about boxing, for example, I know that everybody loves Muhammad Ali. I do, but before him was Sugar Ray Robinson, and Sugar Ray with lightning hands, much fast. Well, I won't say faster than Ali, but he was fast, and he conked, and so did Sammy Davis. I mean, Black entertainers, Black popular figures
in the spotlight.
Yeah. Were tended to go that way, but the rest of us just get cut short, and then we would dress it and wear stocking caps, which became quite the flag in the spoken word hip hop rap generations. Anyway, there's a lot I could go on about, but it was preoccupation with the social coinage, the social wealth of the day was how you dressed, your knowledge. You had to know who were the musicians, who were the performers, and you couldn't find those in the movies except on some sidebar performances. You know, Little Richard showed up on, I forgot the movie now, where he was playing. But it took a while for Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte and Dorothy Dandridge to become major actors and actresses. So let me, you know, I'm known to be able to run my mouth. And so I want to stop and pause for a minute to say that those were the things that we were preoccupied. How you dressed. If you weren't a good athlete, you damn well better be able to sing. And you had to be part of some group on the corner.
Right. How do you think those times he's describing, do you think it's the same now? Are young people concerned with, is that a priority, their style of dress or their hairstyle or anything else? What's important to today's youth?
That's a hard one. I would say social media has definitely fueled a lot of what the youth care about. I think a lot of that is rooted in trends and simply what other people are doing. But in terms of, I mean, athleticism is always going to have that appeal. You know, both high schools that I went to were kind of alternatives. We didn't really have a sports team, but from the outside looking in, I could tell that like it still has a firm grasp of like talent matters. But in terms of even fashion, I would say that's also kind of fallen by the wayside. I would say it's the complete opposite in terms of everything nowadays is about individuality, even if ironically it kind of comes back around to when everyone's individual, it's homogenous. But I would say that's kind of the priorities of my youth nowadays.
So you personally, when you were having something to do other than study for college, your classes, and maybe work, what do you do with your time?
I spent a lot of my childhood reading. I think that's still one of my favorite pastimes. Bike riding has always been one of my favorites. From a very young age, my mother, she taught me the love for music of all sorts of genres. I'm sorry. R&B and hip hop and jazz, blues, all of the important, you know, black genres. And it's ironic because, you know, she's Mexican Italian. And so it was her because of her that I have so much soul. And so that definitely like just ingesting so much music growing up was a big pastime. Just spending hours, you know, poring over different albums and learning the history and whatnot. And I guess movies have always been another like way to pass the time. But I would socialize. I would say I'm a pretty social person. So I spent a lot of time doing that back in middle school, high school. But I had a strict family. So it was like a lot of regulation in school socialization.
Wow. So you have a Italian and Mexican mom. How about on the father's side?
Black. Well, he's one of the typical out of the picture kind of stories. So not much more I can say on that front.
So you never connected with your dad's side of the family, his parents and relatives?
They both passed when I was pretty young, both his parents. So yeah, I never really, and then things just became estranged on that side of the family. So I grew up in Southern California. I just moved here a couple years ago. So that definitely doesn't help, but it's not anything that I would personally say missing out on from what I've heard from like my family, my sister, all of the rest of the people on my mother's side. They all weren't super happy with that side of the family. So I just kind of take it how it is and I move on.
So your social cultural framework is Mexican Italian?
Mm-hmm. Primarily Mexican though, I would say. That's also, I spent a lot of my time growing up. There were plenty of African Americans in Southern California, but a lot of it was like Hispanic culture that included, the food, but also just the people I surrounded myself with. So I wasn't able to really tap into that African American side of myself for a long time. It was partially because I didn't really think about it. Growing up, race didn't really matter in Southern California because it's a melting pot and everyone is different. And so it didn't really, no one cared until I came here. And that was partially when I had to be like, oh yeah, that's right. I happen to be a person of color. And it was a cultural awakening. And I became kind of like territorial with my music, with my culture, my past and where I come from. And that was definitely the biggest change in the last few years. I mean, you say that 12 to 18 gap, I think coming here has been some of the most formative years of my life for that very reason, is coming to terms with my race on a much deeper level. growing up, my mom, she always told me, oh, you have to worry about this when you're older. You have to worry about this when you're older because, you know, you're a person of color. And I dismissed it. You know, I didn't want to believe her. I don't think any kid wants to be like, or come to terms with the fact that when he grows up, he's going to have to deal with racial issues. And so, and it didn't help that I didn't see anything. Where I was, it was pretty remote in Southern California, you know, a couple hours east of LA. So it wasn't super busy, super violent. So it wasn't anything I had to worry about. And then coming here, it was like right in my face. Oh, that's what she meant.
Can you think of an event when you came here that was formative, that sort of was dramatic in bringing it into your consciousness?
I think the stairs. It was staring from the moment me and my sister just kind of like left the airport. It was a lot of people, and we didn't really understand it because we visited before moving, and we just kind of dismissed it. And then once I came here, I was like, oh, it's like really bad. And I remember one time I was with my girlfriend at the time, who was also Hispanic, and we were just like walking down the street, and you could just see and feel the stairs and the heat. And there was that vibe of like, you don't belong here, you know, you get out of here. And it was a hard thing to definitely come to terms with. And I think it was a lot of stairs and just that oppressive energy for the longest time that definitely made it a very isolating experience when I first came here. Just having to be here, it was just me, my mom, and my sister, and you know, it was new to me. It was new to my sister especially. So that was the hardest part.
One of the things I've noticed both in your experience that you've just shared and other students of color when I got here from New York City back in 1991, I got to Portland, and I just had, by the way, a brief interaction with Mark Jackson, who is now the director of REAP, which stands for Reaching and Empowering All People.
I work for REAP.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
I work with REAP, yeah.
Oh, good. It has grown.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
But when I was chair of the Black Studies Department at Portland State, Mark and REAP came in to see if we could help them put together a African history course. They were teaching it at Grant High School. And before we got to African history, I wanted to know where these students were in terms of their understanding of blackness, of being black in Portland, which if we're 1% here, I think we're like 3%.
You got that right.
In Portland. But in the class, I wanted to know where the students were. We asked them about their experiences with racism. And that question brought a deafening silence. They looked at one another and shrugged their shoulders and so forth. And somebody who was willing to be a spokesperson said, well, you know, we don't have any racism here. And they voiced that in several ways. Yeah. And I said, wow, okay. Can you do me a favor? And I would like for you to do what became known as a hall walk at Grant High School and Jefferson High School in Portland. I asked the students in teams of 3 to walk the halls and to notice what was there, and to come back and report in. And I especially asked them to notice anything that had to do with blackness in the hallway. The hall walk turned out to be pivotal for these students because they did not notice when black folks started showing up in any of the pictures. And in addition to the debate team and the academic honor society, the sports teams were there in the hall, with pictures and trophies. And I asked them, where were the black students seen? And they were all on the sports teams. And so I said, now, can you explain that to me? And those conversations were designed to promote a certain kind of thinking. awareness, to get out of the repression of their identities. I then gave them an assignment for the next week, which was to examine the achievement patterns at Grant High School. Their data showing by students who are on paid, free and reduced lunch. Their students reporting on their graduation rates and achievement scores in math and science and English by ethnicities. And the next week they all came back and reported them. And I said, so how do you account for the fact that you all are part of a group that is at the lower level of performance? Oh, that's because these teachers, they don't blah, blah, and they started now disassembling their experiences in the classroom. Not all negative. Many teachers were advocates for these kids, but they could tell you what those teachers did that made them feel supported. And I said, well, my racism was I couldn't ride except in the back of the bus. My experience, I couldn't drink out of a water fountain unless it said for colored people. Yeah. I couldn't go to the movies in the front. I had to go around back and sit in the black section. I had a lot of overt exclusion. But for me, I told them as a professor of black studies and psychology, that this is racism you're looking at. You're not free of it.
Just changes form.
Well, it reveals the forms that they are. In my view, it's a revealing, not a. It's not a. It's always been there. Low expectation. Teacher expectation is a major determinant on student motivation in classrooms. And if teachers don't expect you to be capable of the work, you'll be treated like a nice person, but you won't be among the top scoring in the class.
You're not going to be pushed.
That's an interesting. Have you seen that?
That study, yeah.
Now I was thinking about the study. Have you seen it in your classes?
Honestly, no. I think partially just because like the lack of black presence in Oregon is so strong that they, like when I say changes form, I just mean that it's gone from like overt, segregation, and I would say lynching to more like microaggressions, right? And things of that nature and what those kids experienced back in the 90s. But you're right. You're absolutely right. It's always there.
So when we were here in Central Oregon, I was working with the group Restorative Justice and Equity, and we held some town halls because we felt that students didn't have a place to share their experiences here in Central Oregon. I think we held a total of 4 town halls. The first 2 were called Let's Talk About Race. And in the high schools, not all the black students came to those town halls. The majority of the students who came were Latino, Latinx, Latin students.
Why do you think that is?
I call it spotlighting. And I think that when you're in a community like this, like Central Oregon, where you say we're less than 1%, you do not want to apparently attract any attention to yourself for being black or brown. You would prefer to be known as whatever your name is, Ray, and for just being a regular person.
Yeah.
And no problems, no attention to your blackness, no experiences of racism.
A face in the crowd.
A face?
A face in the crowd, yeah.
But yes and no, because it's very important for young people to have an identity and to be known for something and to be appreciated and respected and included for something. In Central Oregon, that's got to be, you can compete with the best of them in calculus or IB, International Baccalaureate, or advanced placement courses and so forth. I mean, a lot of the black students are in that groove trying to get recognition for that. You can't escape the athleticism issue, though. Mm-hmm. That's still an expectation. When my youngest sister was a teacher in the Bronx, in New York, and her 2 kids were struggling. And so we invited them to live with us and go to school. Alfonso, my nephew, was 7th grade, went to Ockley Green in Northeast Portland, predominantly black, 80, 90% black.
Right.
And my niece is like, their father is from Honduras, and so they're black in Garifuna, black Africa, and so she was like, I'm going to say she was 5'11", almost 6 feet. And so we walked onto the campus to sign her up, and the coach saw her, grabbed her, and said, "You're playing basketball for Grant High School." Just because she was looking like, she didn't know a thing about basketball. Her mom's a poet teacher. So she was expected to be athletic and to be a superstar in sports stuff. Yeah. Just because of her blackness, I think, first of all, and second of all, the height.
I went through the same thing.
Did you?
In my family, yeah. I mean, I liked basketball, but this was like back in elementary school. But I remember even then, my uncle was talking about, you can go to college on the sports scholarship. You just keep at it. And I remember later he got me like a whole like basketball hoop for me, and it was a good $200-300, but I just didn't have that interest for it. And so it was a lot of like expectations that because I happened to like the sport, because I was black, because I was tall, that I had to do it. And I didn't really like that. And that's part of the reason why I rejected it. It was because I was like, I don't want to do something simply because like I should, or because it's part of like the race. Like there were just several reasons why I was like, I can't do this. But yeah, I get that.
So I had already encouraged my sister to get Alfonso, the young boy, into something, basketball, especially in growing up in the Bronx. So she did. She got him into a basketball club, and he could dribble behind his back and all. He was all this. So he came into Ockley Green. He came in as a star. He's from like New York, right?
Yeah.
And he could ball. So his identity was really supported by this young, small group of other black men, young men, who were sports oriented.
Yeah.
So I think the dilemma and the change is that when I grew up, I had a community that I lived in. It was all black. I went to integrated schools eventually, but the housing was all in black neighborhoods. So the dentist was black, the doctor was black, the insurance company, the realtor, everybody that we interacted with was black. And so I hung with my cousin Johnny Naylor out in St. Albans. Johnny Naylor and Johnny's dad and my folks were friends in St. Louis. So when we all moved to New York at about the same time, and John Naylor Sr. was became a principal of a school. So Johnny Naylor and all through my high school, we hung together, usually in New York. And in Englewood, New Jersey, where I was going to school, black family had moved in from Harlem after the civil rights movement opened up the housing thing. And my buddy was Gaylord Francis. If you were a brother named Gaylord Francis, you had to learn how to throw your hand. You hear me? You were all anyway. Gaylord and me from Englewood, Johnny Naylor from out in St. Albans, and then Ron Brown, who a lot of you all might know as Bill Clinton's Secretary of Commerce.
Wow.
Ron Brown's dad managed the Hotel Teresa. So we had a vibrant social life. So I'm trying to point out that I had my homies, my run-in brothers, and we partied all over metropolitan New York. Not much in New Jersey at all.
No.
But they were seminal for my thinking, and what they thought about me was really important. Now, Ron Brown was going to private schools. Johnny Naylor is the son of a school principal. He was the first black graduate from University of Connecticut orthopedic medical school, an orthopedic surgeon. He was surgeon for the New York Jets. So he got very successful very fast.
Right.
But these guys really were my world. I managed to get up in the morning and get to school because that kept the hounds away. My mom and dad. So I got up and got to school. She always would, and my mom asked me, "Where's the homework?" And I said, "I did it in school," and that was not true. But my world was the community, and they were a huge buffer for me in terms of experiencing racism and stigma for being black. Now, the radio audience can't see you or me. I'm hopeful that you will post pictures of us because you're the two people here who are doing the talking are extremely light-skinned African American, and that if you are community bound, that is not an advantage. Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's tough. It's tough.
It's. I wouldn't call it tough.
Really?
Yeah. It's a gauntlet, but it makes you wise. Because you have to ask, what did I do?
Yeah.
Right. I was going to say, why do you think that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went through that back in elementary school. I remember this experience very well. I was trying to, play some ball with some kids on the court, and they were like, "No, you can't play with us." They were all black. And like, "You can't play with us because you're not black." And I was like, "What do you mean? Like, how can I prove that? I don't have like a race card. I can't bring my father to school as proof." And that was very like that. It stuck with me. It's been, probably 7-8 years, and or maybe even longer. But it's just one of those experiences where to me, that's why I say it's tough, because it's things like that where it's like, why should I be predisposed to exclusion just because I happen to be born lighter? Like, I still have the same values and I still care as much. But I think it just feels arbitrary to have infighting when we're already so divided. We have enough problems from the outside as it is. I don't think
So why do you think they were on your case for being not black enough?
That's a hard one. It could have to do with just like the purity, right? I mean, the darker you are, the more, that people would perceive that to be as like, oh, like a deeper black roots in the community or in his history. And so the lack thereof denotes like being less than. That's my theory. That's
a good one. I spent a lot of time thinking about this issue, which is why I asked you the question.
It's crazy because I'm over here like it's always something, right? You're too light, right? I'm dark, you light. I'm educated, you're not educated. I got good hair, you got bad hair.
Yeah.
It always feels like
hair, man.
Yeah. What is that?
Right.
Right. You got
back
hair
when everybody else was going there froze. You should have seen this. My bro.
You got the chops.
No, chops, man. I couldn't grow a fro. You know how that feels?
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, listen. There's this concept called racial self-hatred. Mm-hmm. And your experience of being rejected is often used as an emblem or an indicator of race self-hatred. And as a developmental psychologist in my training, I have been trying to understand what it is. How do you go about best teaching African-American kids? Mm-hmm. And there's not a single approach here. But I want to say that when we see our women using skin lightener creams when you were talking about conch and hair straightening. These and many other behaviors were taken as indicators of a mark of oppression, of the consequence of being denigrated, discriminated against by an oppressor, granted by an oppressor, but we internalize a lot of this in terms of something called racial self-hatred. I never could get next to that because the brothers who were the best athletes, who were singing their ass off on and getting the girl, they were all real dark. Light-skinned guy, you had to make up for something. You had to be really good in the hood, as they say. And I developed another hypothesis about this lightness thing. Because when the Vietnam War was going on and the United States was being supportive of a regime in South Vietnam that were basically French Vietnamese. That's the French colonizer. And a lot of the women were chosen by light-skinnedness. I was saying, wait a minute, what's going on here? And I began to think, why? First of all, I have to make a disclosure here. My lightness comes from my mom. And if we had this program on TV, I could show you some pictures. And she is the whitest person that you can imagine. Her hair is not blonde, but she is white. All the features. And that goes back to her grandmother, who was Irish. But her dad is darker than Ricardo. And a little guy, fireman on the railroad, that he kept the steam engine fires going, throwing the coal and wood in there.
That's awesome.
Yep. Will Dalton was his name. That's my namesake. But I ask my students when I'm teaching to imagine themselves being emancipated from slavery. And now you're out there, and you're out there without any resources. You're let loose. They promised you 40 acres and a mule, and you never get anything.
Took it all back.
And so if you had anything going, you maybe had a sharecropper piece of land. If you saw a group of women walking down Beale Street in Memphis, and they were all shades. And I love Walter Mosley, the writer, because Walter Mosley has ways of describing the color brown and black that is really incredible. If you add them all up, I'm going to do that one day. It's, one's coffee colored and the color of a penny. And I mean, he has all kinds of ways of connecting different shades of blackness. But if you saw a group of women like that and one of them was really fair skinned, had straightish hair and so forth, you're going to make an assumption here that person is the child of the slave owner. And the odds are better than 50-50 that person will be able to read, maybe, will be able to maybe have inherited some resources from the slave father. Not always, but enough of the time that if you had to make a bet, the light-skinned person would be the one who had the most resources out of that group of women. And I think that's how the light-skinnedness thing gets elevated among black men. I won't go down a negative road here to talk about light-skinned women, but we have to be careful about how we draw conclusions as members of a community within a colonizer within a larger Euro-American value structure. And I have to tell you that the black community has been the savior of our people, because it has been where you could breathe, you could play, you could, if you've never been to a Thursday Fathers group meeting, you will see a group of men who are back into their adolescent mindset of being really free and at ease and comfortable and articulate. You have a disadvantage, both at the level of not having connection to of other family that are clearly of African descent in your growing up. You, I think, also are at a disadvantage if you have experienced the Latin community, right? Mm-hmm. You had friends who were predominantly Latin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that support that and comfort that you feel connecting up with your mom's side is what a lot of African Americans experience as a life preserver.
What do you mean by that? Life preserver.
So when I was a kid, I liked to play baseball, and I got on a little league team because the older black kid down the street had moved out of that team to Babe Ruth League or something, and encouraged the coaches and so forth to bring me on. Another friend down the street had a job. He's 2 years older, as working in the pharmacy on Ingle Street in Englewood, New Jersey. And then when he left that job, he introduced me to that job, and I got in there. Mm-hmm. My cousin Russell, when I was going to college, was with the New York Port of Authority, had moved into a position. And my freshman year, after finishing freshman year, he got me a job in the geology soils lab at the Port of Authority. You hear where I'm going?
I think so.
Family and friends. My Aunt Agnes, also from Hollis Springs, Mississippi, in Memphis, knew my mom, finally bought a house across the street from us in Englewood. Mm-hmm. She lived to be 113.
Wow.
You hear me?
That's impressive.
Yeah. And her husband, Vincent, my uncle Vincent Fenton, Jamaican immigrant, and saw her and fell in love with her, and he pursued her. Well, Uncle Fenton was big at the labor union, working the docks, unloading refrigerated trailer. My sophomore year, after my sophomore year, he got me a job working at Breakstones in the Bronx, New York, unloading refrigerated trailers. It was a union job, a replacement for people taking vacations. So I'm telling you that all of these contacts, family and community, were how I managed to go to college, how I managed to be oriented toward college in the schools that I went through. And that's a longer story than we probably have time for today. But I don't think I could. It was the community that saved me. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by lifesaver. And it was work jobs, it was partying, it was hanging out with black women as they came into their womanhood. Music, huge music influences. Mm-hmm. My younger brothers both played with the Isley Brothers.
Wow.
Well, they lived down the street. When Aretha passed and Smokey Robinson and the Miracles, Smokey got on and talked about growing up there in Detroit. Mm-hmm. Just amazing talent.
Yeah.
Within like an 8 blocks radius. Sam Cooke, amazing. Same thing when I grew up. I didn't have music talent, but I went on to I got into medical school, and then I got my degree, and I've been a university professor till I retired here in 2010. So I cannot, my aunts and uncles and cousins and the guys on the street that I grew up with were formative for me. I don't think I could have survived without them, including keeping me free of the booby traps.
Yeah.
We didn't call them booby traps. We called them the N-word traps.
Right.
and steered me around. I can tell you story after story about people who were very, very critical for my survival and my aspirations.
Ray, do you have a network here in town that's like that? Like, when we have such a small community here, how do the young people get together, especially are young Black people getting together on their own, or is it just like you said, this everybody wants to be an individual or be different, right? Where are the youth today as far as what we're going through, especially right now, right? Where we got the WBR is always talking about what's going on with Black people, but now our brown brothers are being attacked, right? Our Latin people, our Asian people are
getting kidnapped.
Yeah, getting kidnapped. So in these times where everybody's in fear or worried, at least being extra precautious, what are the youth doing in Central Oregon? Are they concerned? Are they talking about it? What's going on?
It's hard to say. It's hard to get a pulse. I would say we're all pretty scattered. The school that I go to, Central Oregon Community College, they have a summer program that lasts about 5 days called Ubuntu, and it's like all of the African American and brown students kind of gather around for this like 5 day celebration of like Black culture and Black excellence. And I think that was definitely something that helped get us all together. And it helped me connect with like a guy from Prineville, a friend who also lives in Bend, and a couple other people just around Central Oregon. And even my good friend Buddy, who just moved back to Southern California, like we still talk, and that bond that was formed was because of Ubuntu. And I'm deeply looking forward to that this year, because it is like, it's hard for us to all get together because of how scattered we are. I think we do our best. And I think it's largely in part, thanks to people like Marcus LeGrand working at COCC, who helps like coordinate these events, who runs the Afrocentric community program at COCC. But it's hard to get a pulse just because there's so few of us to really get something concrete. I would just say we do what we can when we can. And we're trying more initiatives. We're trying to connect schools from across the state that have Black and brown kids in Oregon, and try and get us more together and get us more aligned so we can start doing something about that. We have programs like the Central and Southern Oregon Leadership Experience, which is trying to connect kids from COCC to Southern Oregon University. So I would say it's a lot of work that we're trying to put in right now. We're laying the groundwork is what I would say. But yeah, in terms of overarching culture, I can't place it just because there's just too few of us.
Yeah, I think that's important to bring up for those who don't live in Central Oregon, who are outside of these rural areas, to know that there are Black and brown people here that are just as dedicated to the fight, but that's another hurdle for us, right?
Yeah.
Here in Central Oregon. So thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah, I think it is more of a challenge than I had growing up.
It's a lot of uphill work. I mean, even engaging with my culture, I mean, it was a lot of having to dig for my own history. I mean, it wasn't readily available in school. So I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, which really changed my life. I mean, but it was things like that where I had to dig for my heroes because the school wouldn't teach me, and because I didn't have a Black community to show me those heroes. And I would say that a lot of like Black culture that I've ingested has kind of been through through a third or through a medium, really. I mean, and I think that makes me sad to say. It's just, but some things just can't be helped. I guess for me, I just do the best I can with what I got.
I think you're doing pretty good, man.
I appreciate that.
I think from my observation here is that people who are configured like you are or have been have an identity development challenge that we haven't really appreciated how difficult it is, and what are the supports that you need to be comfortable in your skin about who you are. And your decision to go to Howard, your decision to participate the way you participate is, it's not just that there's a community pushing you into these pathways. I think it speaks incredibly about who you are, and that's important. And I'm hoping that these conversations, and I know you come up to me a lot when we're in some shared event and you say hi to me and so forth, it makes me feel really valued and appreciated. And I hope you feel that with this interview that you're having, that Kathy saw the importance of intergenerational conversations. And so you have a sense that you're not alone.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an honor to be here, but it's even more of an honor to share like a space with someone like you who's seen so much. I mean, as someone who has spent so much of my life studying history, when I think about all of the events that have happened in your life that you have been old enough to understand and witness transpire.
Preach.
It's just impressive. I mean, to talk to someone who was born and went to high school before desegregation, I mean, it leaves me speechless. So I think to be put in the same room, I think is just, I'm very bowled over by that.
Thank you for that recognition. I really appreciate that coming from you, Ray. But you're here because you too exist. You too have a story. And it's important that you feel empowered to share that and to recognize who you are.
I do, yeah. I think there's been a lot of great people in my life that have helped me see that, especially here. I mean, almost ironically, the tougher it's been, the more that people have pushed and the more people have shown me all these new things and broadened my horizons and made me see like, oh, I can do so much more. I can engage with my community so much more. I can go so much further. And, you know, events like this I wouldn't see really happening in Southern California. I think Black excellence is so incredible to witness, like right before my eyes, because this is a result of people seeing, okay, we don't have a Black radio. Fill the need. We see a need and we fill that requirement. And we always push through adversity. And it is because of that we have accomplished so much, because we are always being pushed against. And so we just have to push harder.
What school are you going to?
Central Oregon University.
No.
Or sorry, it's Central Oregon Community College. Second time I've done that.
Yeah, after though, HBCU.
Oh yes, Howard University.
You are in you were talking about your childhood and having it be diverse, right? And all these different people where you didn't really notice or care about racism. And I hear that a lot, right? What a life you're living. Like you go through that, right? And then you move here where it's like, oh my God, and you freak out and wait till you go to the HBCU, the different kind of love.
Oh yeah.
You're going to get. I was just having this conversation. My daughter, who loves Dalton, by the way, and told me that you two had a conversation about Jim Crow with my 13-year-old daughter, right? Let me know that, hey, I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, you are.
I'm doing a good job, and I'm really proud of that. But I was telling her, she said, what's an HBCU? And I was explaining it to her. And she said, do white people go there?
One or two.
And I said,
one or two, yeah.
They do. And that's really important that they do because, one, you know, these people are really colorblind, right? Truly, to experience what you get to live every day, my daughter. They are volunteering to go learn and educate themselves amongst people who don't look like them, right? And go through that struggle. So when she was telling me that, I was like, you're going to have this because Black people are so welcoming and loving. You're going to get to, what? You just came from Bend, Oregon? Oh, man. Come here. Yeah. And all that kind of stuff that you're going to get. Right. You're living this incredible life, bro. I want you to know that if you didn't know, you're living this, you're doing things that people your age already haven't accomplished, right? You've been in 2 different climates and you're excelling, right? So Man, I'm so excited for you. There's another guy that used to live here. His name's Isaac Shannon. I'm going to talk about you, Isaac, for a minute. Isaac was a youngster. He was in high school when I met him, and the George Floyd was going on and everything was happening. And he decided he wanted to go to law school so he could help in the fight, right? He's about to graduate.
Wow.
But I've been watching him do all this incredible stuff in other places, right? And expanding. And now I get to see it again. This is my joy, seeing young Black people excel in this climate, right? Because it doesn't really happen a lot. Mm-hmm. I think about, and I'm going to take this to a crazy place right now because I'm in my feelings.
Yeah, take us there.
Right? So we had the young man who was shot to death by the young white man.
Barry Washington.
Right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had that shooting. And then after, we had the young white man who was shot by the young Black man. Right. Yeah. In our community, what I noticed treated those two shootings completely opposite. Mm-hmm. Right. They even included the young Black man's brother. Mm-hmm. Right. Because he was insane enough to want to back up his brother and go with him. Right. They put him on TV every day, just like he had did the shooting. Right. Well, I've known these two young men their whole lives, right? And I've seen what they've gone through, right? And I want to make this clear so the haters ain't crying, right? There is no reason. I joined the submarine force so I wouldn't have to kill nobody face to face. That was my main reason, right? There is no reason to kill anyone unless they're trying to take your life. That's the one exception for me. Right. So to have this young man do that, and I've known him his whole entire life, I've known what he's gone through. I've seen the bullying he went through all of his school years. I've seen his uncle pass away in his home where he discovered the body. Wow. Nobody talks about that young man that pulled the trigger on the white man being stabbed a few years before that. Right?
No, nobody.
Until within an inch of his life, where his uncle opened the door and found both his nephews, both of those guys, bleeding to death, intestines hanging out, type bleeding. Right? Nobody talks about that. And we're about to have this next trial, and I've already seen how they're treating him. Right? Mm-hmm. But nobody's thinking about the emotional stress that he's gone through all his life. Another thing nobody's talking about, he was underage.
Wow.
What's he doing in that bar? Why haven't we punished the bar owners for having underage people in that bar, right? We're not talking about these things. And so for you, once again, to be excelling, right, to come here, unlike Barry Washington Jr., and still be here, right, still working towards your goals and dreams, that's a great accomplishment.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so I just want people to understand that things are different when white people do it and Black people do it. Those are the same things happening. Two shootings, both downtown, right? But that racial part of it is what we got to work on still. So...
When Katrina hit, I don't know if you remember that picture of a little black family with a pontoon boat liberating some food from a supermarket in the flood. And they were described as stealing food. Absolutely identical picture of a white family taking the food out, and they were using survival skills.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So the foundational piece that drives me, Ricardo and Ray and Kathy, is we need to be able to recognize that you don't come through over 400 years, 30-something generations, under the most incredible conditions. And within a year or two of emancipation, having started something, within 30 years, over 200 universities or higher education. That's a commitment to competence. That's a commitment to asserting a different image than the predominant culture wants to put on us.
Yeah.
We are an incredible people. And the brother Malcolm, after he became so notorious as a Nation of Islam spokesperson, talking about white folks as the devil, blue-eyed devil, he went on a Hajj to the Middle East.
To Egypt?
Came, it was Saudi Arabia, I think. Came back transformed because he saw something that I sometimes have said to the Fathers Group when we were talking about European Americans. And I said, you have to keep remembering these are our kids. These are our children that came out of the loins of African people on the motherland and populated the whole planet. And so what am I saying? I am saying that every generation of our folk have unique challenges. And you are part of probably the second generation, my kids and then your generation, have a choice about who you are. Carter G. Woodson wrote a book that tremendous, this guy is amazing, Miseducation of the Negro. We have to make a set of decisions about the education of our young people. And when you are here participating in this radio program with Ricardo, when you are participating in the Afrocentric clubs and Ubuntu that is so critical for Central Oregon, it's not just Bend students. They're coming from Redmond and also Madras. I don't know about Prineville. Maybe Prineville as well. But we have an obligation not only to our own culture and our own people, but also to indigenous Americans especially, because they have the heel of the boot on their neck in ways that we have not yet fully appreciated. But I can tell you that we need to be in brotherhood and sisterhood with those folks if we're going to ever feel liberated in our struggle. So
I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that.
Radio. I'm telling you, this is more than survival. This is celebration and recognition. And I think I'm so proud of being part of this, and I'm so proud for you having the fortitude to push through. And I know a little bit about what you have to push through, but not all of it, to get this up and running. Please bring one or two of our younger folk into your tutelage so that they can be sure this grows and becomes an institution in Central Oregon.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I was just going to say time is running out for us, but I would like to make this like a regular, maybe monthly thing where we have these talks.
Yes.
And bring other youth in, other people in that Dalton knows, and keep the conversation going, because I think it's important. I think the listenership is, last year we had over 16,000 tune-ins.
Wow.
I
didn't know that.
So I'm really excited about where WBR is going. I'm always open to anyone. You don't just have to be black or brown either, right? There's other people that are important to what we are doing. And I encourage everyone to come on the show. or create a program of your own.
Thank you.
So, Dalton, I appreciate you being here. As always, the OG. Thank you so much. I always learn so much when you're here. Ray, I appreciate you as well, taking the time to sit with us and be here today. I hope you come on again. Kathy, you didn't say too much. You like to play the background, but it's always a pleasure being around you. Thanks so much. That's all we got for today. You guys, we'll see you next week.
Wait a minute, man. You have a sign off, a black sign off. Come on.
I got a special one, and it goes a little something like this. We just dropped some truth, no cap. Gave it to you real from the front of the story to the back. On WBR, the culture will never cease. So until next time we meet, love, peace, and hair grease. We'll see y'all next time.